Greetings, Talva. Hope you well and you've had a fantastic week, and hope you've been enjoying the content so far. I've been going through the detachments slowly but steadily to give you guys some staple lists or foundations to your list going forward, and talking a little bit about how I feel that they're going to compare to the current meta around us. Now, obviously, like I've said in previous videos, we've had a lot of change recently, and it's a lot to kind of take in at once. It's a lot to kind of come up with and formulate a plan to be able to go to the tabletop feeling comfortable, confident in your list and the performance you're wanting to get out of it. So why am I talking about EPC? Well, EPC for me has been a really nice entry-level detachment for newer players joining Tau. The reason being, it's got extra 6-inch range as a detachment rule. No stipulation as to only turns 1 to 3 or 3 to 5. It's just nice and simple. Whatever range it says on paper or on your datasheet, add 6 to it. Easy to remember. And also the stratagems are really good because you've got some defensive strats, some offensive strats, and it really kind of opens up a very simple way of playing Tau. It feels very much like Gundam. It feels like Tau, shoot good, fast gun, good gun, so on and so forth. So this has been really popular for the newer players, and I think, putting my hand on heart, I think I've kind of disregarded it a little bit. Not because of just that fact, but simply because I've been having so much fun with other detachments and kind of used to the kind of aggression that can come with Montcar and retaliation, or the defensive capabilities of Kion when you look at the ghost kills, or banking on the fact that you're going to get sustained hits 2, and now that's gone away, it's sustained hits 1. I think EPC just kind of fell under the radar for me. But now looking into it, I actually think it's got some potential. And let's talk a little bit about kind of some of the strengths and weaknesses of the detachment. And we're going to go through the enhancements and the stratagems and some of the units that I feel that are really going to love EPC. So I've kind of done like a mini kind of SWOT analysis on EPC. So first off, the strengths. Number 1, really powerful strats. Okay, and if you have a look at the stratagems here, in terms of the offensive stratagems, we've got the Threat Assessment Analyzer. Effectively, one Tau Empire unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase, you can select the Sustain Hits 1 or Lethal Hits ability. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have that selected ability. You can instead select the Sustain Hits 1 and Lethal Hits, but you gain the Hazardous keyword. So what this is doing for us is giving us Montcar and Kion. Yeah. You can select one or the other, or both, if you really just need to click the button, delete something. Yes, hazardous. You will probably take some incoming damage from your own guns, but if you definitely need something dead, then you can point click, spend 1 CP, and just get lethal and sustained. I think that's fantastic, and certain units that I'll get onto in a second would really benefit from this particular stratagem. So then we turn into, should we go into another offensive stratagem? We have experimental weaponry. So, experimental weaponry, if you're considering random amount of attacks, so things like flamers, things like your storm surge, anything that's got a random element, so D6 plus or just D6, for 1 CP, you can just re-roll the results. And it's not, you can re-roll it all, or you can selectively re-roll dice. So if you roll, say, 6d6 flamers and 3 of them are a 6 and 3 of them are 1s, you just re-roll the 3 1s and keep the 3 6s. So again, nice and easy. I just want to get the maximum output out of this unit as possible. Spend 1 CP, there we go. And then we've got another one, experimental ammunition. Now, it cannot be used with the other one, the Threat Assessment Analyzer, but experimental ammunition, select 1 Tau Empire unit that has not been selected to shoot this phase, select one of the following abilities until the end of the phase. Improve the strength characteristic of ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit by 1, and improve the strength and armor penetration by 1, and then you have the hazardous. So what this is essentially giving you is the retaliation cadre ability. That's their detachment rule. If you're within 12, you get +1 strength, and if you're within 9, you get an extra AP. This doesn't have the range limitation, but what it definitely does, it gives you that, opportunity to boost the strength, whether it be your burst cannons, you're going into a T6 model and your strength 5 base. Well, actually, I could be strength 6. and I need that extra pip of AP, brilliant, I could boost the AP and then gain hazardous. So, nice and simple, really. You get to click button, delete something, and I like that. Sorry, my hay fever is kicking in, so I do apologise if I sound a bit snotty. So then we talked about the offensive stratagems. Let's have a look a little bit about, look into some of the defensive ones. So we've got automated repair drones. So we used to have these little drones, repair drones in Forge World, and they've just taken that and put this into a stratagem. So command phase, the key important thing is just says command phase, not your command phase. It can be either your opponent's command phase or our own. Tower of Empire Battlesuit, you can heal D3+1 lost wounds. Brilliant. We've got a Riptide that might die, no problem, D3+1. Got a Broadside, D3+1, Crisis Suit, a Commander, Ghost Keel, you name it, you can just recover D3+1 wounds. Then, reactive impact dampeners. This is really good for Tau, especially being T5 on our Crisis Suits, and T6 for Broadsides, and T9 for Riptides, T8 for Ghost Keels. Tau Empire Battlesuit unit, you can basically, shooting all the fight phase, you can just subtract 1 from the wound roll. So if the strength of the attack coming at you is greater than your toughness, -1 to wound. 1 CP. All of these stratagems are nice and simple, 1 CP, I can be offensive and I can be defensive. And then finally, we've got Neuroweb System Jammer. This is the golden nugget for me. Your opponent's shooting phase, just after enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 Tau Empire Crisis unit that was selected as a target of 1 or more attacks, it basically gets lown up 18. So, really good if you've got Crisis Suits on one flank, usually you get shot from downfield. Nope, loan up 18. And you can deploy a unit of Crisis Suits quite offensively, in terms of like, I'm just going to be deployed out in the open because I can always load up. The opponent's not going to come out and shoot you because you've pre-measured and they can't. So you just get to sit there and exist for free. And I like that. So, enhancements. When I said like they've got number 1, powerful strats, gone through those. Number 2, we've got powerful enhancements. The key one, Fusion Blades. Yes, we're all sad that it doesn't work in combat, but it's still an amazing enhancement. 25 points. You can basically select 1 Fusion Blaster, equipped by the bearer, improve the attack characteristics of that by 1. So a Fusion Blaster, 1 shot normally, now becomes 2. Improve the strength by 3, and that weapon has Melter 4. So Sunforge, 12-inch range, that kind of sucks a little bit, but now it's 18 because of the detachment rule of add 6 to the range. And then now it's range 18. When you're within 9, you're going to be Melter 4, and the fusion gun has 2 shots, so it's going to be strength 12. You put them in Sunforge, suddenly rerolling all wounds and damage is great. So this one, absolute top-notch enhancement, and you'll see it in every EPC list. Then the other ones are situational. So if you're a flamer person, you love having flamers, then you've got the thermonutronic flamer. 1 Tau Flamer equipped by the bearer, improve the strength by 2, the armor penetration and the damage by 1. So it basically goes up to strength 6, AP 1, damage 2. And obviously if you put it in certain units like Star Scythe and you're targeting non-monsters and vehicles, you're going to get an extra AP. And then you could also boost the AP by an additional 1 and the strength if you wanted. So you could potentially get this flamer up to, well, hello, strength 7. AP 3, damage 2, not bad, right? Then you've got the Plasma Accelerator Rifle, 10 points, nice and cheap. Basically have a 2-shot plasma, but more importantly, it's now strength 10 because it adds 2 to the strength, and obviously the AP and the damage go up by 1. So it's 2 shots, strength 10, AP 4, damage 3. Damage 4. Really, really, really good. Last but not least, the indirect air bursting frag. Improve the strength by 3, armor penetration damage by 1. So it goes up to strength 6, AP 1, damage 2. And again, same thing as before, if you equip it in certain units, you could easily increase the AP. You could equip it into a Crisis Suit unit that has 4 rerolls to hit, aka the Fire Knife, so you're indirect. If it's guided, it can still be hitting on, for example, 2s or 4s. If you're not guiding it and it's indirect, and that extra AP actually gets around cover. So really, really good enhancements. So, I've already mentioned that the other strength is the extra range, and I think that when you look at the powerful strats, the ability to have loan up on a crisis suit and -1 to wound is really, really good. Now, I think the weaknesses are, because they're not like, it's not like a Montcar list. It's not got massive amounts of speed, but you can build lists that have speed within, and you just have to focus maybe on more cold stars, breacher fish, for example, piranhas. Those are the kind of speedier elements in a Tau list. But they've got no any kind of like assault stratagems or auto advance. So it is still traditionally a flat gunline army that might struggle on some of the more denser terrain setups. It's not as flexible as Retaliation. So Retaliation has lots of units everywhere that can 6-inch deep strike, get around the board, crisis suit heavy list, that kind of thing. So it's not really doing that style of play that Retcard and Montcard do, where it focuses on speed and the ability to be anywhere on the board. And it's not really got any extra output outside of strats. So what I mean by that is Montcar has lethals for the first 3 turns, potentially the 4th if you take the Exemplar of Montcar, and Kion has sustained hits 1 from 3 to 5 or 2 to 5, depending on if you've got the Exemplar of Kion. And then Retcard has the output throughout the entire game with the +1 strength within 12 and the +1 AP within 9. So this is great that we have offensive stratagems, but it's also a weakness because it leads on to my next point, which the detachment is very CP hungry. Key units that I think we should be looking at within EPC would be missile broadsides are absolutely phenomenal because they really like that extra AP and extra strength. So the missile broadside 712 can become 822. And broadsides have that kind of key ability where if they're taking any wounds from like devastating wounds, like hazardous, for example, you can get 4 up feel no pain against them. So actually you can mitigate the incoming damage from hazardous. Sunforge are great because the extra 6-inch range really helps. You don't always have to get danger close, and when you do get danger close, you're going to be in Melter range because rather than Melter 6, it's Melter 9 because of the extra 6-inch range. Fire Knife teams are phenomenal because they can really make use out of the full rerolls to hit when you're targeting something at full starting strength, and you can fish for those sustained or sustained lethals or lethals, right? You just got to choose, I need to click this button and kill something, well, I'm going to target this thing at full starting strength, I'm going to be rerolling everything that's not a 6, for example. So Fire Knife teams, excellent. Piranhas are really good now with the extra range because if you think about, again, the fusion is 12, it now becomes 18, so Melter 9 for Melter 4 is really, really good with the Piranhas. And the Seekers, and you can even just go point-click sustained lethal, and having a unit of 2 Piranhas for 120 points, suddenly going, 4 Seeker missiles. Yeah, well, I'll do lethal and sustained. It can be a little bit crazy, especially for the points cost. So anything that's like really cheap that can really make use out of these stratagems are phenomenal. Ghost Kills. Ghost Kills are really good now because just generically not having to set up multiple guiding units to support the Ghost Kills output, you can get away with just one observer, basically spots a unit, all the Ghost Kills are guided. I think that's great, and with Ghost Kills, really making use out of their durability to the next level. So not only have they got the 2 blanks, the stealth, the lone op, the T8, 2 up save, 12 wounds, you can now heal the little buggers. You can also then -1 wound as well. So those Ghost Kills can really be annoying, and they can be unkillable. And then finally, Breachers are really good because the extra 6-inch range really helps with your range 10 shotguns, and they have assault built in. And like I said, if you really wanted to click that button, you could do lethal and sustain because usually Breachers are on a one-way ticket. Alright, so gone through the strengths, gone through the weaknesses, gone through some of the key units. I've got some lists to show you, so give me 1 second while I switch screens. So I've done something a little bit different. I've created 3 lists and I've labelled them for the 3 different terrain layouts that are commonly used. GW, WTC, and UKTC. Now, what I would say is that these are rough guideline lists, I've got some extra spicy lists that I've posted over in my Discord, and I'm constantly working on new creations all of the time. And if you are interested in joining the Puretide program, all you have to do is you click on the description of this video, and there'll be a link to WAP. I've given you a quick summary of the 3 different tiers: Pathfinder, Chasprays, and Chassels. In short, Pathfinder is your entry level, get you access to some deployment videos. I say some, there's over 30 hours of content there. You gain access to a call once a month, which is a demonstration day where we talk about something that's on topic and on brand. And we have a community session where we basically all get together and basically learn. And the Chasspray is list building calls every 2 weeks, and the Quiz the Commander, which is a Q&A with me. And then the Chassels is your high tier for your competitive, like-minded individuals that are constantly going to events and really want to kind of push maybe that 4-1 or podium, all that kind of things. And we do things like Better the Meta calls, and we analyse everything. We have like a War Council call every month where we sit down together, share our ideas, share our experiences, and learn from each other. And it's a fantastic community regardless. And if you're in a position where you just want to, maybe you can't subscribe, that's absolutely fine. Please click on the free community link, which is Chaswee. Doesn't cost you a penny, and you can come and join and be part of the greater good. Now, let's get straight into the first list. I'm going to go into the GW terrain. So what I've done here is that I mentioned before that one of the weaknesses was CP. And what I've done is I've put Farsight in there. Now, Farsight obviously has the ability, like a captain's ability, to reduce a stratagem by 1. So he's going to come in really handy here. You could do -1 to wound. You could do loan up for free. You could heal for free. So he's a really good addition to this, just to kind of help with that CP management. And obviously, if you take Farsight, you can't take an Ethereal, which is absolutely fine. Then my other characters, I've gone with 2 Cold Stars. Remember I said about the weakness being speed, hence why I have put in 2 Cold Stars to mitigate that weakness somewhat. Fusion Blades, one of the strengths, the enhancements. So I've gone with 2 Fusion Blasters. Sorry, 3 Fusion Blasters, one of them being the upgraded version with the Fusion Blades. I've gone with a Shield Generator, because I think keeping him alive is better. And there's still a lot of abilities to precision out characters, whether it be sniper rifles or whether it be stupid Zangors flying around. And also combat somebody connecting with you if you're going to get danger close, and then precisioning out your character. And he's a really important enhancement to keep alive. That Fusion Blades could one-tap lots of things, and it can offer you the chance to split fire. So Sunforge going into one target, Commander going into another, and realistically he can one tap a vehicle, and then the Sunforge can one tap the other. And the fact that you can kind of like double set up your guiding server units to say guide both and then split fire, no split fire penalty, brilliant. Then I've gone with a Cold Star with 4 missile pods. Now the reason for this is that I really wanted a piece that can be shooting from range, and obviously missiles is really good range anyway at 30. Well, 36 now. So you can kind of, on GW terrain, there's still long firing lanes. So you can have your Cold Star with the 4 missile pods and his retinue, and it's going to be a fire 19 with all missiles, sitting there, low and up, going, I'm just going to cover this long firing lane with 36-inch range. You can touch loads of places on the board with this unit, and you could reposition them to a different angle should you need to, because you've got assault and +2 move. So the crisis team will be moving 12 on average with a 3-inch advance, 15. So quite speedy. And you don't really need the enforcer for the reduction of AP, aka the armor of contempt as it's well known as, because you're going to be low up in this unit. So that's my 3 characters. Farsight with a +1 to wound can be really nice in Sunforge teams. And the reduction stratagems, nice. And I got the 2 Cold Stars for speed. Most of the time, I'll have Farsight rapid ingress, like I would do with, say, Retaliation, and then get into position for the Melter. And obviously, with the Melter being 9 and the +1 to wound, with 9, it's a nice synergy there. Battle line, I think breaches are fantastic, especially with the extra range. And I do like to still have one package that goes, right, I can go out, deny your primary, and kill something on objective. And obviously, if I choose to, I could do sustained or lethal or both, because they, like I said, usually are on a one-way trip to dying, but they'll take something with them. Crew, wouldn't leave home without them. Sticky objectives, of course, is really handy, and they're a cheap 65-point screen. Now, I've got 1 unit Pathfinders rather than 2 in this. This is the recon drone unit. And I've got 3 stealth teams. I honestly think that 2 stealth suit teams is fine, but with the way that this list worked, I needed to shave off 10 points somewhere, so I basically converted a second Pathfinder team into a third stealth, which isn't a bad thing, is it? Because with the stealth suits, you're getting the mini oath. 3 stealth suit teams, and then I've gone with broadsides. Now, you can play around with this. It all depends on your meta, because knights are going to be a big thing right now, and you'll need to have ways of dealing with them. Broadsides are fantastic. Now the big knights have gone down from T12 to T11, you're able just to kind of point click and your strength 12 with the rails. So hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s to hit, 1s to wound is really, really good. So what I've done here is I've gone 2 units of 2 broadsides. Now, depending on your meta, you could have one of them being the high yield missile pods and one of them with the rails. Right now, I think that the rails are just cash money, especially on GW terrain, because you can cover left flank, right flank quite easily, especially on some of those maps like Search and Destroy, and there's long firing lanes still. So 2 units of 2 broadsides on with the missile drones, 2 each, and then the support system for ignoring modifiers so that people can't pop smoke, or you don't really care about stealth, or if you engage in combat, you don't really care about the -1 to hit, and you got Seeker missiles and rails just for extra punch. Broadsides, like I mentioned before, they don't exactly cover up one of the weaknesses, which is speed, but on this particular terrain, you can get around that by like a strat reserve on Search and Destroy and cover long firing lanes, like I mentioned, and they're durable, and they can also make use out of the -1 to wound. So broadsides, T6, a lot of decent guns that got into them are going to be wounding on 3s, very rarely wounding on 2s. I suppose big knights will have guns or like lancers or specific things, but you can just offset that by going, well, -1 to wound. And then when they click the button to go lethal or sustained or both, when they do the hazardous part, then you got to feel the pain against them. So 2 units of 2 broadsides. And then we're going to round out the crisis suits. So we've got a fire knife team, which I mentioned, or missiles. And then I've got 2 Sunforge teams. 1 to go with the Cold Star with the fusion blades, and 1 to go with Farsight. Then Ghost Keels. I mentioned them before. The reason I've not gone with the Fusion Collider here is simply because we've got enough anti-tank. We've got 2 units of 2 broadsides, and we've got 2 Sunforge. That's 4 anti-tank, and then the fire knives can help punch up with lethal and sustained, or +1 strength and extra AP. So you can kind of play around with that, really, but I think this is a nice little balance, especially on the GW layouts. 2 Ghost Skills, low up, they can work together, sit on your expansion and just be annoying, force certain engagements to make the opponent come to you, and then you can basically get busy blasting. And that's what this detachment does very well. And then obviously with the dedicated transport, that's going to go with the breaches. I've not given them SMS because there's not much SMS in the list. In fact, there's none. So I went with the twin carbines just so if it did advance, it can still guide. Yes, you wouldn't get ignore cover, but you could always make your breaches have the extra AP. So that's the GW list. I will obviously, of course, be putting all these lists into the description link below. But that's the GW one. So let's move over now to the WTC terrain. So the key thing here is the difference between GW and WTC is that GW has long open firing lanes, and there are some on WTC maps, but it tends to be more of a dense format. So not as many long firing lanes, it can be quite close quarters, and you need to be very cognitive that if you take slower pieces like broadsides, they're not always going to be getting their activations that they need. You can get away with like 1 unit of broadsides, which I would consider, but if you take 2 units of broadsides, you'd have to really perfect your deployment and have lots of reps into that kind of layout to understand where the optimal places are to put them. So I've kind of pivoted away from broadsides in this list and gone more on the speed and the crisis teams and breaches. So I've got 3 commanders, all cold stars. So I've removed Farsight from this list and I've focused on speed. Now Farsight is 95 points, same points cost as a cold star, and so I've made the sacrifice there of the CP benefit. The CP management benefit, and gone with more speed. So I've got Cold Star, Fusion Blasters, Fusion Blades, same loadout as before. I've got a Cold Star with the Supernova Launcher and the 3 missile pods and the air bursting frag. So the idea is he's going to go into that missile fire knife team, because you've got the full rerolls to hit, you can indirect hitting on 4s if it's not guided with full rerolls to hit, and your AP ignores the cover and it's damage 2, so you can be killing scouts, marines, that kind of stuff quite comfortably, and it's just a good gun. And I had the point spare, so why not? And then I've got another Cold Star with 3 plasma rifles and 4 plasma rifles, 2 shield drones, and the plasma accelerator rifle. So this guy's going to be rocking 5 plasma shots, I think. 5 plasma shots, one of them being special at strength 10, AP 4, flat 4, so pretty good, and it's a 10-point upgrade. So all of my Cold Stars have got upgrades, and then I've got battle line units. I've gone for an additional breach team, simply because in WTC you want to ignore terrain, and by that I mean have units that can go through terrain without penalty, so breach has been infantry can go through. And I think that's really pivotal. And you kind of need that speed, so they're going to be in Devilfishes, being able to get to places, and can also punch up way harder with the stratagems that you might want to spend, like lethal sustain or +1 strength, +1 AP, that kind of thing. Crude Carnivore, and I've gone with dual Pathfinders, so again, I'm focusing more on the infantry style builds here, with crisis teams that can get into places really fast and do a good amount of damage before they get removed. So double Pathfinder, 1 is going to be armed with a recon, and 1 is the grav inhibitor drone, so for that -2 to charge. Again, really good, especially with certain combat armies that would favour WTC, like Blood Angels, for example. Having a -2 in your pocket can be very situationally good for you. 2 stealth suits rather than 3, simply because I've got 2 Pathfinders, so I've got 4 guiders here. Then we've got 3 crisis teams. We've got a fire knife, ×2, 1 all plasma, 1 all missiles, and a Sunforge team to go with the fusion blades. So we got our guiders, we got our infantry, we got our transports. What are we doing with the anti-tank? Well, we've got 1 anti-tank piece here, dedicated anti-tank piece, the Sunforge team, with the fusion blades. So I was thinking about this. Well, we could take hammerheads, we could take sky rays. They've got decent enough speed, movement 10, can still struggle a little bit. And doesn't really go in line with the detachment rule. I don't need an extra 6-inch range on a railgun. I don't need an extra 6 inches on my Skyray. So what else could I take as anti-tank that would benefit from the extra 6-inch range? So just have a think, and then see if we're on the same wavelength. Thought about a unit yet? Well, I've mentioned about piranhas, which you could go down the piranha route, and I did think about it, but there is a build coming in my Discord that I'm playing around with piranhas. But for now, everybody loves the Ghost Kill, so I'm taking triple Ghost Kill, all with Fusion Collider and Twin Fusion Blaster. The reason being is because in my finite teams, I've already got that kind of elite killing capacity. Within my list, I've got the plasmas, I've got the missiles that can bump up to a strength 8 AP 2 if I want to click the button. It's annoying that the stratagem, you can only get the extra AP if you do push it for both strength and AP. I would have liked to see maybe like the extra strength or AP, like the other one has lethal or sustained. But in order to get the extra AP, you do need to have hazardous. Something to note, please be very careful when allocating your guns into your enemy. When you fire the gun drones, they will contribute to your hazardous rolls. So each crisis suit has 2 guns, that's 6 hazardous tests, plus the commander that might have 4, that's 10. Statistically, you might fail 1 or 2. But if you shoot the gun drones on top of that, then the gun drones are 1 per crisis, that's another 3, and that puts you up to like 13, which then you're going to definitely fail 2, maybe more. So always be aware of those gun drones because they can bite you in the backside. But Ghost Kills. So I'm going to give you a little insight into some of the tactics that I talk about and some of the plays that I've been teaching my community. Ghost Kills are insanely durable anyway. Now, you imagine your Ghost Kills. Let me just go and grab mine. Give me 1 second. Sometimes maybe my camera goes off. Let me just double check that it's not frozen. Right. So, Ghost Kill number 1. Okay, goes forward, takes a bit of damage. You know, maybe utilises his blanks. Fantastic, right? Let's call him Terry. Terry's taking one for the team. He's down to like 7 wounds. He's lost his blanks, and he's like, right, I can't really survive this anymore. No problem. Terry runs away. Philip comes in, right? And Philip's like, yep, cool, I'll do that. I got this, bro. Again, takes the damage, takes the blanks. Meantime, Terry over here is spending the stratagem to heal up, right? Philip, he's had enough as well. He's like, nah, I'm gonna die here. Runs away. Let's give him a John, right? John comes up, does the same thing, right? Tanks it, takes a couple of blanks, right? Runs away. Well, our initial ghost kill, Terry, right, is now healed up a couple of times because it's each command phase. Goes forward again. And then this one. And then runs away. And this one. You see where I'm going with this, right? It's a revolving door of ghost kills. That is insane and annoying for your opponent to deal with. So ghost kills can absolutely be baller in this detachment, and I've been having a lot of fun with frustrating people with ghost kills. So, really look into it and have some fun. Now, that's that WTC list. So in short, and you got obviously 2 Devilfish to go with the breaches. So focus is more on a mobile force, so one of the weaknesses was speed. Well, this one got around that. The terrain format needs you to be flexible in your positioning. It needs you to have reach and speed to be able to get the damage off, hence why this list has more focus on breaches, infantry, and fast-moving crisis teams. And obviously it's got loan-up ghost kills that have got the anti-tank rule. Well, not rule, but role. So, that's WTC. And then finally, we're going to move on to UKTC. So before I go through this list, I haven't had chance to test this yet, but we're just looking at the maps. They have kind of gone down the route. It is a beta version, so obviously things are going to change with the feedback that we as the community give to UKTC. But initially, loan up is going to be really powerful. The firing lanes are different now. There's no longer some comfortable firing lanes down each side of the board and in the centre. It's become more dense around the centre of the board. So we have to adapt to this. So a little bit of the similar sort of thought process with, what do you call it? WTC. That I don't want that ad. Go away. God damn it. Sorry. Right, there we go. So, oh god, now it wants me to sign up to Sky. It is misleading. I don't want it. Right, anyway, it's gone. WTC, speed, get around the dense sections of the board, and ensure that you're delivering your damage where it's needed. So I've kind of gone down the same design, but with a few slight differences. So I've got 3 cold stars. I've got the... I don't know why he's got a fusion blaster. Oh, that's wrong. Fusion blaster, plasma rifles. Huh. Okay, 1 second. Just this. Was I drunk when doing this? 4 missile pods, or will I give him a cyclic? No, I'll give the 4 missile pod. 24 inch, yeah, I want the 4 missile pods on that one. And then I'll change that to be a cyclic. Ah, that's why. That's why. Yeah, cool. I clicked on Fusion Blaster rather than cyclic. Sweet. So we got the 3 cold stars. So not as many enhancements as the other one because I had to drop some points from somewhere. Hence why the list is 1995. I've got the Fusion Blade dude. I've got the Warlord with the missile pods. And I've got the Commander with 3 plasmas and a cyclic just to make up for the loss of the extra shot from the special enhancement. 2 breach teams, crew, 2 pathfinder, 2 stealth, a unit of 2 broadsides with the seekers, the heavy rail, the weapon support system. I think it's needed. I think you can still get away with 1, especially if you put it in strat reserve on UKTC. And there are still some angles that you can get with a unit of broadsides. Probably not on like mission 1, you'd have to strat reserve them, but you definitely need something to stop the enemy from just frontlining everything. You got 2 Fire Knife teams, again, 1 with all missiles, 1 with all plasmas, and you got a Sunforge team to go with, obviously, the main man, the Fusion Blade Cold Star. Then you've got 2 Ghost Kills. Now, Fusion Collider, same thing. I like the range. The low not's going to be really good, and the go skills can kind of popping early transports, making your opponent really kind of think about where they deploy it. Now, I know that the go skills, the Fusion Collider is only 2 shots, but it's still decent. And then the Fusion Blaster is one with the extra range. So your Fusion Collider goes up to 24 and your Fusion Blaster is up to 18. And then you can use them together is my bit of advice. You could potentially get lucky and one tap something, but if you use them together, they're more of a an anti-tank piece. So, and they're really annoying to kill, and low not's going to be really important on UKTC. And then we've got the 2 dedicated transports for the breaches. So not that dissimilar to the WTC. And again, I think lots of testing is going to happen over the next month or so for myself, because I've got Leeds coming up beginning of July, and then I've got practice games in between. I've got one tonight where I'm going against 6 big Chaos Knights. I'm going to be trying out a few other detachments. I'm not going to tell you what, because it's all in secret for Leeds. But yeah, those are 3 EPC lists. I hope you've really enjoyed them. Let me know in your in the comments below your experience. Have you been trying out EPC? Have you been running Storm Surges? Because I know that's the temptation by us all. It's a shame that the 400 points, but there's lots of options within EPC that I think we're just maybe sleeping on. And the way I look at it is, and I know Kion Bossini, the man himself, has just taken down the classic West Mountain event that was run by the Green Banner Kicker and friends. Well done, mate. Honestly, I love the fact that you've grabbed the Kion banner and ran forward and be like, no, still good, and bossed it. So hats off, well-deserved win, congratulations. But I do think that there is a world where a typical Kion build can easily slot into EPC. With sustained going down to sustain hit 1, it's still good, but with EPC having access to lethal and sustained and some defensive strats, I can definitely see a Kion build slotting into EPC quite well. It's just whether or not that fits your game, your play style. So generally, let me know your thoughts. Let me know kind of some of the best units that you've been having fun with and having success with. Let me know some of the units that maybe have not been doing so well. And I'm really interested to find out your thoughts on this detachment. I love all the engagement so far. I love the fact that you guys are commenting, engaging, liking, subscribing. It makes the channel grow, and it helps me develop further content for you in the future. And if you have any objective feedback, please let me know. I'm all open to suggestions. So thank you very much, guys. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And remember, if you go into my content scheduling folder, there's plenty of things happening this week within the Discord. If you want to know a little bit more about how to use these lists, I've got something planned later on this week where I'm going to be going into a bit more of a theory on what we can do with these types of EPC lists. And obviously, at some point, once the UKTC has made some changes to their beta version, I'm going to be redoing the entire UKTC deployment series with all the detachments. But obviously, I just need to wait from it going beta to a standard one. And that's going to be probably done over the next couple of months, so bear with. But anyway, guys, thank you very much. Take care and enjoy the rest of your weeks. Bye now.